Money is often treated as a simple tool, yet beneath its everyday appearance lies a structure as intricate as any hidden machine. It operates through silent mechanisms, flows, incentives, and pressures that influence every decision humans make, even when they believe they are acting freely. The world attributes economic changes to luck, policy, or political shifts, but the truth is far more unsettling. Money behaves according to laws that were shaped centuries ago, long before modern nations existed. Gresham and Cantillon identified two of these forces. Gresham noticed how people instinctively hide good money and circulate bad money, turning markets upside down without a single law being passed. Cantillon revealed how newly created money moves unevenly, enriching the privileged before it ever reaches ordinary hands. Understanding these hidden mechanics exposes an uncomfortable reality. The financial world is not chaotic, it is choreographed. Gresham's law is often reduced to a simple phrase, "Bad money drives out good." But behind those 6 words lies a rule powerful enough to reshape entire monetary systems. When people lose trust in the value of their currency, they begin to hoard whatever they believe is good money, gold, silver, or stable notes, and spend the currency they distrust. This quiet behavior spreads through society like a chain reaction. Governments can outlaw hoarding, punish speculation, or issue new money. Yet the law keeps operating because it emerges from human instinct, not policy. In every era, from ancient empires to modern inflation crises, Gresham's law has silently decided which currencies survive and which fall into oblivion. It is not merely an economic principle. It is a mirror revealing how fear and uncertainty guide human action. And whenever this law awakens, history shows that a financial turning point is close. When new money enters an economy, most people imagine it spreads evenly, like water filling a container. Cantillon proved the opposite. Newly created money follows a path of privilege, reaching the wealthy, the connected, and the politically favored long before touching the hands of ordinary citizens. By the time the rest of society receives it, prices have already risen, opportunities have shifted, and the benefits have evaporated. This hidden sequence explains why inflation punishes some while rewarding others, why asset bubbles appear suddenly, and why financial power concentrates in specific circles. The Cantillon effect is not loud. It does not announce itself with crashes or panics. Instead, it works quietly, redistributing wealth without a single vote or official decision. To understand modern inequality, one must first understand this silent flow of money and how it rearranges society from the shadows. People often believe that financial stability is something governments can guarantee, an anchor that will not move no matter how turbulent the world becomes. But history proves the opposite. Stability is not a natural state. It is a momentary pause between cycles of expansion and collapse. Markets shift when confidence rises or evaporates. Currencies strengthen or break, depending on trust, not mathematics. Gresham and Cantillon understood that money reacts to emotion long before it responds to policy. A fearful population hoards, a hopeful one spends, and a confused one destabilizes everything without meaning to. The illusion of stability survives only as long as people collectively believe in it. Once doubt spreads, even the strongest financial structures begin to tremble. True security is never built on promises. It is built on understanding how these invisible psychological currents shape economic reality from the shadows. Every financial crisis looks chaotic from the outside. Markets crash, currencies fall, and fear spreads like wildfire. But beneath the panic lies a predictable pattern that Cantillon foresaw centuries ago. Crises never affect everyone equally. Those closest to the flow of capital adapt first, repositioning themselves before the full impact hits. They buy assets when prices collapse, accumulate influence while others freeze, and turn volatility into opportunity. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens face the aftermath: rising prices, shrinking savings, and disappearing stability. The crisis becomes a silent transfer of wealth, a shift of power from the unprepared to the strategic. Understanding this pattern reveals an uncomfortable truth. Financial disasters are not breaks in the system. They are part of the system's design. Those who understand the rules survive. Those who understand the patterns rise. Markets are often described as rational, mathematical structures that respond to data and logic. But history reveals a different reality. Markets are emotional ecosystems. Fear, greed, excitement, and uncertainty shape price movements more than any technical indicator ever could. Investors flee at the first sign of danger, creating crashes before real damage occurs. Others chase rising prices, inflating bubbles that eventually burst. Gresham understood that money follows emotion. Cantillon understood that emotion determines who gains and who loses. Together, their insights show that markets are not mechanical. They are psychological landscapes. Anyone who studies charts without understanding human behavior reads only half the story. To truly grasp market movement, one must understand the architecture of emotion that silently builds and destroys fortunes. Power in the modern world no longer comes from armies or land. It comes from controlling the invisible flow of money. These flows determine which nations gain influence, which corporations dominate markets, and which individuals rise to positions of authority. Cantillon revealed that the earliest receivers of money hold the greatest advantage, shaping the economic landscape long before ordinary citizens realize anything has changed. This creates a hierarchy built not on merit, but on proximity to financial creation. Meanwhile, those further from the source experience delayed benefits, or none at all. The world sees wealth as the result of skill or innovation. But behind the curtain lies a structured system that amplifies the privileged and burdens the disconnected. Understanding these hidden money channels reveals that power is not randomly distributed. It is engineered. Every major financial movement begins with a story. It may appear as a prediction, a warning, or a promise of opportunity, but its power lies in how deeply it shapes collective behavior. Market narratives spread faster than data, influencing millions before facts even surface. These narratives can inflate bubbles, fuel panics, or justify drastic policy changes. Gresham and Cantillon understood that people act based on belief long before they act on evidence. A hopeful story can drive irrational investment. A fearful one can trigger mass withdrawals. What appears to be economic chaos is often carefully guided by narratives crafted by institutions, influencers, and governments. When a population shares the same belief, markets move as one. And when belief fractures, instability begins. Learning to question these crafted narratives is the first step toward financial independence. Economic cycles are often portrayed as unpredictable storms, events that strike without warning. But the truth is that booms and collapses follow a rhythm as old as civilization. Expansion begins when confidence spreads and money flows freely. Prices rise, optimism grows, and risk seems harmless. Yet beneath this excitement lies the seed of collapse, the belief that growth will never end. Once doubt appears, even slightly, the cycle reverses. Money tightens, markets freeze, and panic accelerates the fall. Gresham's law influences which assets are abandoned first. The Cantillon effect determines who absorbs the damage and who escapes unharmed. These cycles repeat because human psychology repeats. Until people learn to recognize the signs, overconfidence, fear, and delayed awareness, the same pattern will resurface again and again, reshaping economies while pretending to be unpredictable. For decades, economists insisted that markets self-correct, guided by an invisible hand that quietly balanced supply, demand, and human ambition. But as classified financial papers slowly surfaced, another picture emerged, one where the invisible hand was neither natural nor accidental. It was engineered. A small circle of monetary architects manipulated global liquidity flows, influencing trade shocks, commodity prices, and even local inflation patterns. Their tools were subtle: delayed announcements, controlled leaks, artificial currency shortages, and sudden injections disguised as routine adjustments. Nations thought they were reacting to market forces. In truth, they were reacting to decisions made in private conference rooms with no windows and no recordings. This chapter uncovers how the world followed a hand it never actually saw, and how that phantom guidance reshaped entire economies without ever revealing its fingerprints. While nations publicly spoke of cooperation, behind the scenes a silent currency war shaped global relations more aggressively than any battlefield. Countries didn't fire missiles. They devalued, restricted, flooded, and weaponized money itself. Every adjustment in interest rates worked like a strategic strike. Every capital control was a blockade. The documents uncovered in this chapter reveal how secret committees predicted rivals' moves, orchestrated countermeasures, and used market volatility as a shield to mask intentional attacks. Financial institutions were not just observers, they were active participants, adjusting algorithms to amplify pressure on targeted economies. The most shocking discovery was that citizens never knew they were on the front lines. Their savings, wages, and purchasing power absorbed the impacts of these covert battles. No flags, no armies, just numbers shifting in silence, altering the fate of millions without a single headline acknowledging the war being fought. At the end of every investigation lies a truth so uncomfortable that most systems prefer it to stay hidden. The money game was never designed to create equality. It was designed to preserve power. The final documents in this chapter reveal that early architects of modern economics built frameworks meant to keep influence concentrated in the hands of those who understood monetary behavior before the rest of the world even knew the rules existed. Gresham and Cantillon weren't warning about chaos, they were warning about predictability. They understood that when bad money is allowed to circulate freely, society drifts toward imbalance. And when those in control can manipulate scarcity or abundance, wealth becomes a narrative shaped by policy, not productivity. The truth that emerges is simple yet unsettling. Prosperity is never fully accidental. It is fostered, guided, redirected, and often controlled to ensure outcomes align with hidden agendas. Recognizing this doesn't create fear, it creates clarity. The system was never broken. It worked exactly as intended. We simply were never shown the blueprint.